Hey, last of the Maimer, last paragraph of the Maimer. So the basic shayla of this Maimer is why that Tzemach Tzedek extols and speaks of the Maila of Tishrei Chodesh HaShvi, and then the code of the answer is that Chodesh HaShvi is because Shvi l'Rishon. It's the seventh to the first. And what that means is that notwithstanding the fact that creation is Teva, but the very beginning, the Pnimius, is higher than Teva, and that's Nisan. And this accords with what I told you yesterday. The Maimon doesn't mention this, but the Chassidus brings how Tosfos reconciles the Machlekes of Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yeshua says in Nisan, the world is created, and Rabbi Eliezer says in Tishrei. And Tosfos explains that Rabbi Yeshua is speaking in Machshava, which Chassidus explains to mean the Kavanah Pnimius, and Rabbi Eliezer, is speaking B'Peil Mamesh, and that was in Tishrei. So that's what this Maimon is saying, that even though the world is created with the laws of nature, and that it would appear defines reality and cannot be changed, and it's immutable, Bereshis Bodily Kim. So the Chiddush here is Hachodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chadoshim, that the Chodesh Nisan is the Pnimis dik ahead of all of the months of the year, which means that the Avodah is, and the possibility is, and therefore the Avodah is, and the Kavanah is, to reveal of course in Nisim higher than Teva, which he said in the beginning of this Maimon, Moishe Rabbeinu was Mamshech Nisim. Yidden are connected to Nisim, but Nisim, miracles of miracles, wonders of wonders, that's Nimshach to Moishe Rabbeinu. As we pointed out yesterday too, hence Chafei Order is the very first articulation of the Kavanah Pnimius. First day of creation in Machshava, in Kavanah. So I continue with this now. So that's why that answer why the Tzemach Tzedek brings Chodesh HaShvi Dafke into the whole discussion of Nisan. Because if he didn't, actually, it's not just a kashan ateret. That's the whole point. That if he didn't speak about Chodesh HaShvi, so there's two in Yonim. There's L'maynim Rateva and there's Teva. Each has its time and place. The fact that he talks about Chodesh HaShvi in the Maimer of Hachodesh Zalachem of Nisan is saying, no, that the whole Teva L'chatchila is the Pnimius suffused with the ability for us to be Megal in Teva, higher than Teva. It's not two separate parallel universes. Binyan Bazer. Now we're finishing the Maimer. We did this. Okay, we'll finish it. That even though creation is through Tzimtzum, not that doesn't really even start. That starts even earlier. The inyan of what? Gvul. That kvashir ba'atzme bekoyach kol masha osidli is bepeil, that the Eibishter already at the most primary levels already estimated creation, which means that the finitude of creation is there already in the deep machshava, in the planning, the earliest kavayachal planning stages, where the estimation. Shir atzim bekoyach means the potential is all put into place there for that which will actualize. And what is put into place in this shir atzim bekoyach? It's dafke gvul and tzimtzum. So it doesn't get more primary and early than that in terms of the whole underpinning of creation. So l'chera, that would therefore be the reality that cannot be changed. But that's Bemis is not the beginning. Beginning of everything, and that's really the origin of the Ashara B'Koyach and the actual Tzimtzum, which is the actual process, the dynamics of creation. It's all because of what? Nisave. He desires chesed. And what that means is, not that Eibishter desires to strut his chesed. Chesed means in the relationship. He wants to have a loving relationship with you and me. That's what this means. That's the Kavanah Pnimius, and that's Giloi, revealed, experienced, one with each other, united. Heipach Tzimtzum, the absolute opposite of the Tzimtzum, and that because that's Bligvul. Where does he want that revelation? Dafken Gvul and Tzimtzum. Dafken the Guf, and Dafken Elam Hazeh. But the Kavanah Pnimius is Nisan, not Tishrei. Halayla Hazeh. I told you once, Gershon Mendel got a blessed memory, the legendary Shliach to Milano from the early Shluchim that went out on Shlichus in 1958, from the early ones, went right after marriage, together with Baal Shem Tov, close friends. The Gershon Mendel, he was a legendary chassid, and his Fabrengens were of a different order altogether. And I recall one Yud Aleph ניסן, after the Rebbe's Fabrengen, some stayed on Fabrengen till the morning. I recall we were dancing in the showers, Kipshuta, and then davened, then got on the mitzvah tanks, and then collapsed at the end of the day. But I remember his Fabrengen was that he took a lot of mashke kimoven, and at one point he was just going endlessly, Halayla Hazeh, Halayla Hazeh. This night Yud Aleph ניסן, Halayla Hazeh. That was the night. Halayla Hazeh, Halayla Hazeh. Tears streaming down his cheeks and a huge smile on his face. Oh, there's not everybody related to his Fabrengens, but many did, and I enjoyed them. It wasn't so much what he said, it's how it was said and where it's coming from the heart. So the Indian is the Kavone Pnimis is Chafetz Chesed, and that's in this in Commission is Berli Yosef Gimel Shetishrei B'chinas Gevura. Tishrei is Gevura, which means Tishrei is the process. The process, it's Tzimtzum and Gevura. Yeah, the Yosef is Man Da'adin or Mishpat, and Tishrei is a time of judgment, and that's all part of it. But not just part of it. The Kavone is in Tachten, and Tachten means there's rules and there's regulations, and that's where he wants the Dira. That's he wants the Chafetz Chesed. And he ends again. He doesn't want to leave Tishrei with din and mishpat. So that's what it is. And even though Chazal say when a Yidden blows shofar, they cause Hashem to get up from his posuk, from his reflected in the narrow beginning of the shofar and the broad end, that he gets up from his throne of judgment, and then in the end, sits on his throne of mercy. It's all beautiful, but it's still rachmim, and it's all bound up with the judgment day, as we are all aware. Even when he sits on the throne of glory, of mercy, it's still within the context of judgment. It's all the tachten. But ניסן is the kavanah pnimius, and that's gilui, and that's unfettered and uncompromised love and oneness with every Yid. There's no room for din. So what does this mean? Yes din or no din? The answer is no. This permeates the din. In Mokim, initial din means that din doesn't define the relationship. It's really adarabah. Din, the law, and the sin and the tshuva actually expresses it. Because what does it say? Even though you sin, we're still one with you. The din brings out even more the Chavitz Chesed. Notwithstanding the failures and the disappointments, still can't let you go and won't let you go. Saying Makim Inyan Adin means the din is not going to define it. You sinned, you're out. But it's integral to the whole kavanah. Dira betachtoin. Mizeh moving she the Chafetz Chesed shaykh l'chedesh ניסן. So the Inyan of din, that's Tishrei. But Chafetz Chesed, which begins the whole process, God desires, and Chafetz is going to say next words. The fact is that b'chinas ki Chafetz Chesed. Chafetz means desire that's much deeper than chesed. It's bligvul mamish. But chesed gufa, how is a chesed built in mugvul? Chesed altogether is boundless. True chesed places no limits at all. But Chafetz Chesed is a pnimius of the bligvul. There's inyan atzmi. And loirak mit zecheskel fishu mitzad haseichel mitzad harotzen. Stam chesed is seichel, makes sense. Sometimes you got to be nice. And then there's even a deeper chesed, rotzen. It's high in seichel. This is high even in rotzen. That's like mamal slave of this is atzmi. El begint it's a chofetz dafke shalomali marotzen high even in rotzen. High in slave, high in blikvul. It's in atzmi. We're one, gamarno. And therefore, that's creation the way it is in ניסן. ניסן expresses the premise and the ultimate creation, that it's all about Chavetz Chesed, and loving and irrevocable and uncompromised and eternal, beyond eternal connection with every Yid. And he concludes a beautiful thing with Marsha Negel. This is an interesting statement. That's why, with respect to creation, how did it all begin? So this quote is endless even. Bereshis Rabbah, B'min nimlach v'huder Hashem consult, answers the Medrash, B'nishmashem shel tzaddik. So that's understood to mean Neshamas Yisrael, which is what it means. Here's another diuk. Tzaddikim dafke v'lei bali tshuva. So what, we're negating Bali Tshuva? No. What he's saying here is that there's a level where you never sinned and we're never disconnected. That's what it's saying. Pnimius. Tishrei is Bali Tshuva, you sinned, you fix it up, and we got to do all of that. But what does all that unlock in the end? That we were always one, even when you sinned. Even at the time of even before Tshuva. And therefore, by me nimlach, when ich Hashem zal tzadikim, as neshamas amushish and atzmus. That's chaf hayodah. Shezeh achilik ben ניסן l'Tishrei, that's between ניסן and Tishrei, Yedua. Shetishrei in Avedas HaTshuva, Tishrei is Tshuva, and ניסן is Avedas HaTzadikim. ניסן is the birth. We're all innocent at birth. We're all tzadikim at birth. It's later Sam Yisrael. What is he saying here? That never changes. But Pnimius be'etzem, that tzadikal, you always were, even in the darkest times. And what's the avodah of tshuva is to reveal that. Shvi l'rishon. That the avodah of Rosh Hashanah and tshuva and Yom Kippur reveals the rishon all along you were one. Let's look at the summary. I sent it to you. It's online. It's also on the paper in front of you. It's not a summary. Again, it just tells you what the Maimon talks about. So let's have a look at it. My dear friends, there's no substitute for learning the Maimon again and again and again. And we're fools that we don't. Fools. Okay, we're busy. We have all kinds of excuses and reasons. Oh, but the Rebbe gives him, he gives himself on this Maimon, and every Maimon. And when you're learning it, you're opening deeper and deeper to the likus, to the neshama that's in the Maimon. Here, we're just learning the seichel, the words. But to get the neshama, that's only when you learn it on your own. Huh? You're smiling. Masking. It's good you're smiling. Okay. You see the summary, ניסן is based on the ניסן. Miracles within miracles, which I chus to the Moishe Rabbeinu, and this darga of ניסן is shaychus to Moishe, as the Medrash says, he is ניסן shel Yisrael. He is the miracle worker for Yidden, but who's the miracle worker for him? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's ניסן. Mamshich lehem gam hanesh eloi havaya ניסן. That he is mamshech to Yidden. This, what's ניסן? Again, that's the Etzah. Nisim Stam is Sever, but we're talking here with the Atzmistic connection. That's what Moshe is Megala. The ניסן. That's irrevocable. And that's eternal. And the whole point is that this is what? The first month, the head of the year. How does it nimshach, not just the first one, but the head. How does it nimshach that this is all permeates the months of the year, which overtly are all tzimtzum and bereshis bara likim and teva. Gimel Taimim, he brings the three reasons, Lamailas, and this is not Tishrei. This is from the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's all based to explain the Tzemach Tzedek's Maimer. The Frierdiker Rebbe brings three Mailas, Shalachein Tiagul, Hasidim, which is why redemption will be in ניסן Aleph, ניסן is Chesed, and Tishrei is Gvura Beis. They're all connected, the three reasons. It's not a responsive to our Avodah, but it's an essential revelation. The third one, again, there's what empowers Avodah, there's a response to Avodah, and then that unlocks the Etzem. And the third reason, this is the critical point, that Tishrei itself brings out the mile of ניסן because it's Chodesh HaShvi, Shvi L'Rishon, it's beloved because it's the seventh to the first. And what that means is, in Avodas HaTshuva, the tachlis that comes out of Tshuva, comes out in the Maimah is that, what? You're a tzaddik and you always were. And you can't change that. And Tshuva just cleans it up so that your pnimius comes out. And that explains why the final ruling in the Medrash is that the creation is in ניסן. What that means is, what the final ruling means is, that final ruling has been a Geula. That's the final ruling. But as far as when creation was, it remains unqualified. The Peil will be Paskin Tishrei, because that's Peil Mamash. Tosfos, I just told you, explains in Machshava. So the explanation that the ניסן Nivra Elam Kim Tzad Apula, the ניסן Mechedesh Chachashana. What's creation got to do with ניסן, which is all about miracle? That's because Yeshna Gamayin B'Yisrael Elam Beifen Sheyitziv Mitzarim V'Akbalas, because ניסן contributes to creation, transcending every rule and every boundary. Because ניסן reveals into creation. It's all because the pnimius of Chesed, this atzmizdik bond with Yidden, that the Eibishter wants to be revealed, dafke in the guf lamata, and through all the vicissitudes and all of the limitations and ups and downs and darkness and tzimtzum of life.